Hi, I'm Dean Carson. We have to have these communications lines here to let you know the difference that we can bring to you in the economy and financials. Our value is rooted to financials, accounting, taxes, advisory, and the interest to use those skills to help on the broader economy. For the immediate lines, the raindrops are the work with entities and individual families. Those are the points where we make immediate impact. It may be a small point of immediate impact, but it helps in the economy in the aggregate. If an entity improves in economic efficiency, it's a job creator, can create new jobs, can create new growth and bring new vitality to the economy, especially on those innovation fintech lines. We're looking at those lines. We're looking at established businesses. We're looking at small and medium entities and large entities, because we see a dynamic relationship where small entities can work with innovation and growth. Large entities can bring the knowledge of strong controls and compliance. The two between each other, each has a little value to bring to the other end of the equation. Those small entity can learn about structure and governance from a larger entity, and a larger entity can be re-inspired by what's in a small entity and what they've learned about growth and innovation in the new age of technology, communications, and financials at work. The consistent framework financials have not changed that much, but there's new rules, there's new regs, so there might be new ways that technology can be configured to work with entity-level value and societal value. So we have a dynamic line that works with financials, works with project management, technology, and works with communications, because without communications, there's no teamwork. So on those lines, think about financials at work, technology, and when we come over to the lines of people power potential, it's about your role on the team, how you work as a leader, how you work as a performer, how you work as a performing member of the team, I mean by that, and how you work as the individual family. All relevant lines, all working with economy and financials, some measure of technology, maybe the internet, maybe cloud, maybe mobile. Lots of lines in that point, and lots of collective value to think about where we can improve in the economy and financials. I'm Dean Carson. We work with integrated lines of hands-on service in your financials, accounting, and taxes, project management, thinking about the key lines in growth and prudent risk management as point constraints. Definitely relevant to technology and innovation, definitely relevant to entity or individual family. And the key point in communications, because communications is about how do we get technology and the people power potential to work together. We want to make sure that technology is a tool, helps us achieve goals and objectives. On people power potential, it's about your individual and unique role. You as a leader, you as a manager, you as a individual, a coworker, a individual family in the economy, all value points, where we need to work together, think about what are the common objectives, what can we work together to help on the economy and financials. In the broad lines, we think about entity value. We think about entity value having, value that's derived from individuals, families, communities, and, serving an important purpose, an authorized purpose that comes from government saying you can create a business in this area, it's okay to operate there. It's not that government gives rights to the entity, but it's that government has a structure within which any entity operates. You need to understand the standards, laws, rules, forms, and filings you need to work with. You need to make sure that you're covering those lines and working with the regulators from the government side to optimally achieve the objectives that they're after. They should be good communicators on their side to let you know the clear objectives. And then when there's clarity on those objectives, it makes it easier for you to work with your efficiency line and cost-benefit constraints to make sure you're meeting the obligations on those compliance needs, but also focused on the growth and the hectic, frenetic pattern of what happens in any industry. You're working on growth. You got to take care of clients, take care of vendors. You got to move. There's a lot of stuff going on, so it's hard, and compliance, is a complication because it adds layers of what you've got to do, and yet it adds important societal value. So that rounds us into a point to take this video out, is that those lines that you work with for financials, for accounting, for taxes, for compliance, they are lines that are frequently thought of as, quote, cost center lines. Cost center lines are rich with knowledge that can help your business move forward. They're a knowledge of who your entity is and functional relation to the economy. On those lines are opportunities and pathways for you to help on growth, efficiency, and forward-looking improvements in the economy and financials. We take that knowledge to service every day. In effect, that's who we are, is working with that knowledge of financials for strategic and operational lines to help entities in both the entity/industry category and the entity/non-industry being NGO, government, nonprofit. The idea is we're all in a broad framework of the economy and financials. We can work together, we can find improvements, and it'll happen perhaps little by little, just an entity, one entity, two entities, three entities, individual families, 1, 2, 3 individual families. But as we come together, these can be economic improvements, looking at the local, the regional, state, multi-state, national lines, and thinking about the global lines. We all have some small part, and the impact we make and the way that we work for each generation a little bit better off in the economy and financials is through improvements, through talking a little more, through finding the balance of rugged individualism and self-reliance and shared accountability, where we find a balance to work together, Meeting in the center, we have many different ideas, but teamwork happens when we meet and agree to speak in civil forms and think about what is the improvement we can make. We are benefited from an exceptional core, a core that's about the self-evident truths of the equality of people and the ability to work together in a tapestry which is the melting pot, and the differences that you and I bring to teamwork are different perspectives that can help us. They're perspectives that allow us to see different points in value. So the open conversation of how we work together in the economy and financials, how we grow with ideas to help in the economy, and how we net work together for improvements. I'm Dean Carson. My focus is entirely about the value at work in the economy and financials, and that value, to work with it at a macro perspective, value strengthens the value point for an entity or an individual family, because as you think about the context of value, you see more lines to help with compliance, more lines to help on working with financials for growth, more lines to help an entity reach its consumer base, more lines to help a constituent base of NGOs, nonprofit, government, and individual families to find their lines. Perhaps you're in a nonprofit line, perhaps you have a sports club, a soccer club, a great thing. Bring together teamwork, getting people out there to exercise, young kids, helps them build their minds, learn about teamwork, learn about productive lines. We want to be a part of that productive line for nonprofits, working for a community value. For the governmental lines, it's about unlimited wants and needs. Everyone's pulling you in a million different directions. I want this, I want that. And we've got to meet that, together in the middle. And then when it comes to the government lines, you've got unlimited wants and needs, but tax resources are finite. So because tax resources are limited, and if you look at it, why do we have deficits and the debt? We have deficits and the debt because we agree to so many needs, but we don't fund those needs. So the challenge then becomes, well, we have limited resources. How will we work with those resources to meet societal needs? So opens the window for statistical optimization, cost accounting, the matching of costs and drivers, and kind of that open area that we'll really need to work with in these generations. The next is being better at cost accounting and manage down the deficits and debt. And remember that each time you hear this deficit, that means there's spending and borrowing, which grew the debt. And when that happens, whether it's at a local, regional, state, multi-state, national, or a global level, it means there's some level of unencountered needs to fund something. So perhaps a more sustainable way is to find a way where we can agree that the resources we move in must be sufficient to meet the needs, and then we're going to work with statistical optimization to restructure the resources that were more effective in reaching the needs in the economy and financials. Now, there's a lot more to it. The study of economics is really deep. Credit is part of the growth cycle. Credit allows for growth, and the introduction of credit, from my understanding, creates boom and bust cycles, because credit is a multiplier, leads to growth, leads to spread of wealth, but then you have bust cycles because there's a certain point where the credit goes too much. And so we follow in deep lines economic research. We're not expert at it yet, but we certainly more and more each day become better and better at connecting economics, financials, technology, and communications to the key role to help an entity succeed more, to help an entity in the non-industry category, NGO, nonprofit, or government. Think about programmatic controls. How do you work with financials? How do you work with technology? How do you better meet unlimited wants and needs of the constituents? To think about collective teamwork. That's you and I, regardless of our differences. The differences are superficial, regardless of who we are, where we come from, because we are in the end connected by teamwork and that bond of a core of value, which is an exceptional set of principles, which allows us to be in a place where we can define what we become through a common core of the value of us all as individuals and the value of who we are where we come together. I'm Dean Carson. I'm here. I'm committed in as many ways as I can to help in the economy and financials. Doesn't mean that every day is a perfect day. Doesn't mean that every day we win. But it means that we have a value, and it's an exceptional value. It's a value of you and I, who we are in teamwork, where we meet in the economy and financials, the ability to help in the entity needs and financials for the industry lines, profit maximization and growth. We're with you. We understand what you're doing there to help to make sure that your accountable lines and compliance and risk management map back to governmental needs, to help the governmental regulators in terms of they have communications needs over to business, over to societal needs. We can be part of that line to help people be more aware of the points of what each person wants. And then in the middle, to just work on services for entities and individual families and a continuing model where our skills in economic research, on communications, on outreach, on awareness, and I'm thinking of the key ways to help any entity or individual family succeed more in the economy and financials. I'm Dean Carson. I'm committed to the pathways to help in growth and improvements. I hope that you find value in the value we bring. And, the net line is we've all got financials. We're connecting through financials. Our skills are to work with financials. And that's a strong value to point to help you out in the economy and financials. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you find productive things in it. We're working to refine the message to strengthen it to the core points, but what we've shared with you is the basic philosophy of how we can help in the economy and financials, and there'll be more in the lines. Follow the DCarsonCPA lines, the many different variables that for your industry, for the ability where we map in on direct help, and for the broader ability to help in the economy and financials. Thanks so much.